Next Health. He and I will be interviewing the lovely Nikki Sharp today. She's a health and wellness expert slash influencer slash celebrity slash like just everything health and wellness. Nikki's done it and she's written about it. She's a 2-time best-selling author of The 5-Day Detox is one of the books, and Prep Your Way to
Meal Prep Your Way to Weight Loss. Yeah.
And she's hosted a podcast before, Adulting, which thank you so much for having me on your podcast to talk about wellness. That was a lot of fun, which you are still a producer and a host of as well. And you're just doing a million different things. And we're lucky to be able to grab you on your quick trip through LA to spend some time with us. So thank you for joining us.
I mean, thank you. And what an intro. I'll take it.
And she has a great name, Nikki Sharp.
Yeah,
is that like a real name?
It is. Yeah, I was going to tell that story. I won't on that. It's always funny though, because when we introduce ourselves, it's like, hi, I'm Nikki, I'm an author, right? Yeah. But when someone else introduces you, it gives you that space to be like, yes, I have done all those things. Mm-hmm. But then we kind of put ourselves down, like we shouldn't talk about our achievements or what we've done. And so thank you. I appreciate it.
I know you feel though, because sometimes you're on stage and you're like, is that really me? Yeah, I've done all those
totally.
things. I know.
Totally.
And you've done so much. And I love all the things you stand for and just how you're not someone who doesn't have an opinion.
Yes. And as I get older and learn more about the wellness industry, I get more of an opinion. Yes. But it's also coming into my own and not being scared to share that.
Right.
For many years, I realized like my throat chakra was quite blocked because I didn't want to upset people and I wanted to just keep things smooth. And now I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. Let's talk about it, which
amazing.
We'll probably do.
Which we're going to do for sure. So before we get into that though, I just would love for our audience and for myself too, to hear a little bit more about your story. You shared bits and pieces here, but it's super interesting. So tell us how you got here.
Yeah. How I got into the wellness industry. So I was modeling for many, many years internationally, traveling many countries. And during that time, I had 2 clinical eating disorders. I had anorexia and binge eating disorder. And a nutritionist friend of mine, actually, and I want to mention this, had a really good interview. She lives in London, and the journalist had said, and this is the UK, but it could be relevant to the US, similar statistics where the journalist had said, there's about 13% of people that have an eating disorder in the UK. What do you attribute that to? And she said, no, only 3% of people have an eating disorder, but 97% of people have disordered eating. And I thought that was a really prevalent thing because so many of us do struggle with our weight, with diet, and it's getting more and more confusing, right? Every single day. So I had 2 clinical eating disorders. And during that time, I went to an eating disorder clinic, and it was a 6-month waiting list to get in and admitted. And I was 20 pounds lighter than I am today. I was starving myself. I was then binging. I hated life. I was depressed. I had anxiety.
Wow.
I had terrible skin. I was on Accutane 3 times before I was 21. And my dermatologist said, you might just be on this for the rest of your life. I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, really? And then the doctors put me on antidepressant medication. I had insomnia for like 7 years. I was on sleeping pills for 5 years. I was hospitalized twice for lack of sleep, electrodes all over my head. And I walked down, they were like, just stress less, which is like the worst thing you want to hear when you can't sleep. And so through all it, and I don't say all of that because you're like, holy shit. Sorry, should I not cuss on this? I'm like, it's always, I'm like, so I'll keep it to a minimum. And I come from my podcast, the Adulting, where we're like saying all the things. So from that, I really went into a space where I was like, okay, and then I moved back to America. I was in London at the time, and I moved back here, and I had started my Instagram account at a point where I would post headless body shots of myself because I didn't want anyone connecting me, Nikki Sharp, the model, with these really vulnerable messages that I was sharing, saying, I have body dysmorphia. I feel really fat today. I binged. I don't feel good. I need help, but like I'm working. And my messages were always that of positivity. So it was like, I'm in a down place, but I know I'll get better. Are you guys out there with me? And I would post, I would take really inspirational photos from Pinterest Pinterest that were high quality, and I would post them on Instagram, which nobody was doing. So it was something new. People started following me. And then that with the messages I was sharing, my Instagram account grew. And so
this was all anonymous.
Yeah, this was anonymous. I hit about 5,000 followers, and I then finally posted a photo of my face being like, okay. And that was terrifying to do. And I did that, and people were just so amazing and supportive, and they started coming to me and saying, "You're the only person that I trust in the health industry," because I was the only person that was being vulnerable and saying like, "Hey, I've been through this. Hey, I'm going through this. Hey, let me help you." And so through all of that, when I moved back to America, my health insurance didn't cover therapy. There was no acupuncture at the time. We were not where we're at now, and so it was like, I have to figure this out on my own. And so I started studying nutrition, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with food, which I'd been terrified of food my whole life, or not my whole life, but for many, many years. And so kind of
What age was this that you started making the transition?
This was about 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah. When I finally tried to seek help, and I was modeling at the time. I had a job as a PA. I was the worst PA alive. And then I transitioned to marketing, and I was starting this health and wellness journey. And there was just an inner voice that said, "You're going to do this. You need to do this." And I was actually flown out to New York to be a interview for an EA job with, top level person. They were going to pay for everything, great salary. And I turned it down because I had that little voice that said, "You've no idea what you're doing right now, but you will do something in health. Keep going," which is terrifying when you're not making money, you're struggling, suffering, you're lonely. I didn't have mentors at the time. I didn't have a big relationship with my parents to go to them and talk through things. And so as I learned about health, I started I'd been blogging about my modeling, like funny stories, what the modeling world was like. And through that, I started a food blog, and I would share recipes that I was learning. And like, this is back in the day where taking a photo of your food was unheard of, right? Like we laugh now, but that's really what it was. And so people really came to the blog. And then at about 10,000 followers, it was in December, I wrote a detox program, and I began selling it, I think early January. And it just went off like wildfire because I was kind of first to the market. It was new. It was cheap. You saw great results from it. So it was an ebook and 5 meals a day for 5 days. It was no smoothies, no juicing, because I lived in London at that time, and it was cold. And I didn't have a big kitchen, and I didn't really know how to cook very well. Like, I was learning how to cook. I was taking nutrition courses. And so I wrote this plan for myself, not for anyone else, just for me. And because what I saw in the market, there was nothing that was not restrictive. It was all like Shape Magazine had their detox plan for January, which was a 6-ounce piece of salmon with like 6 spears of asparagus. And I was like, yeah, no, like I don't like salmon, and that's not going to do it. And so I wrote this program based on flooding your body with nutrients. And when I wrote it, it was after I wrote it that I calculated all the macros, and everything to the T was correct, like to the exact macro and calorie. And I was like, okay, interesting. So then I said, well, does my audience want it? And I did get it backed by a nutritionist at that time. And as it grew, I then had 2 more, a dietitian and another nutritionist that backed it as well, wrote the forwards. And so that just went like wildfire. And as that sold, my account grew, and everything that I'd been doing was heal myself, help others, and really be of service of everything that I learned. Because like, I'm not a doctor. I didn't go to become a dietitian. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want to go to school and become a nutritionist after 4 years, because the industry, you guys know this, is ever growing and changing, and we learn new things every day.
Right.
And so for me, I was like, I want to study everything. And that's the path that I went down. And I can say through the methods that I've learned and I now teach, completely healed myself of the eating disorders, of every single ailment that I went through. I don't suffer in any way, shape, or form other than day-to-day stuff that we all do. But it's been a hell of a journey. Yeah. It's been a hard one because I did it really alone. And so now I get to teach people how to kind of not go through all that pain and suffering that I had to go through, and ways that really work. And a lot of it is tied to them. Well, most of it's tied to the mind, but I'm passionate about food. I'm passionate about the body, the mind. So, because they're all interconnected. So,
absolutely.
Long story long, that's the journey.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you another question. So you mentioned disordered eating.
Yeah.
And that's a big topic to talk about.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on that as well, because I think it's an important topic that we've never really talked about, disordered eating. And people's relationship with food just in general is so messed up right now. I mean, it's unfortunately, food should be medicine, and unfortunately is like almost everyone's curse, right?
Yeah,
people just don't know how to handle.
It's their drug, not their medicine.
Drug,
yes,
right? Exactly. And they almost have a hatred towards food because they feel like it's causing all the problems.
Right.
When it should be the exact opposite, right? So like, what is your definition of disordered eating? And like, could you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you speak about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, disordered eating really will change depending on who you ask. But from my side, it's any time that you are constantly on a diet, you're using food to deal with emotional things, or not eating. So I would say, like, if you're starving yourself or skipping meals, it's because there's an emotion lying behind it that you don't want to deal with. If you're overeating, it's because you need some sort of comfort from that emotion. And so the very thing that you're eating is giving you comfort, or than if you don't eat it. And so that's more like the far end. Then there's just the, and like LA is a pretty hard place where people are constantly juicing and on a diet and doing this. And, there's celery juice every single morning. And if I don't have it, and it's like that in of itself to me is disordered eating, because the ultimate goal is balance. And when you have balance, you can have the juice or have, like, I ate an Erewhon chocolate chip cookie on my way out here, and it was like there was zero guilt. It was something amazing it's like there's no afterthought of it. And so the disordered eating really is when you're constantly thinking about food, what you should eat, what you're not allowed to eat, why you should do it. And one thing I say is the food you eat has nothing to do with the food you eat. And what does that mean? That means that any single piece of food that you put in your body has actually nothing to do with, like, oh, I'm eating this piece of broccoli. It's because your mind has created a story around it as to why you need to eat that. So, like, we all know that fruits and vegetables are good for us. So the stories that I've created, the good beliefs in the subconscious mind are, this gives me energy. This creates vibrancy in my life. I feel amazing. Whereas a lot of people go and eat, a piece of arugula salad for lunch, and that is based on something in their mind that says, I need to eat this, and if I don't eat this, I will gain weight.
Right.
And so it's the food you eat has nothing to do with the actual food you eat. It all has to do with what's been programmed into your mind.
Yes.
And a lot of it, the majority of it is in the unconscious mind, which scientists say is between 80 to 90% of our brain. So we're using, 5% that we know about up to about 20%. And when you're in that, it's like all of these things and experiences go into the back of the mind. And that's, I also hate the word healthy. I hate it. I cannot stand that people say, oh, I'm eating healthy right now, because that insinuates that you're going to go back to eating, quote unquote, unhealthy or the way you want to eat, which means that you're going to go back into the same pattern. So one of my big missions is to start calling what we call healthy food. It's just food, right? Like, healthy food should be called food. And then the things that we call food should be called toxic food. and if we did that, people would naturally start to make better choices, because it wouldn't be this, oh, I need to eat healthy today. Because nobody wants to eat. We've associated healthy with cardboard or bars or a certain diet or, a salad. And I'm like, how boring, how awful. But like, the way that I eat is just food. It's just food.
That's such a great way of framing it. And I love that you said that because we've talked about this, like the grocery store, what a small fraction of the grocery store is actually what I say is real food.
Right.
And all the rest of it is this fake processed, human generated substance that we eat, which is so toxic on the body.
Yeah.
And we've just got to figure out how to break past that because I completely agree with you. Eating healthy, quote unquote, should be our natural state of eating.
Right.
And I feel like the all these eating patterns and what did we just talk about? The disorderly eating.
Yeah.
Right.
It's such a product of the diet industry.
Right.
And where we're vilifying all of these different categories of foods that I think we're finally starting to turn that corner where people are realizing it's not one size fits all. It's not the keto diet. It's you really have to have a broad spectrum and a balanced diet and figure out what's healthy across the board. And that's what we should be eating.
Agreed. And like this whole thing that people are so into, and I don't think it's quite as popular as it was last year, but the keto diet for me was like, well, it's basically a resurgence of the Atkins diet. Like paleo and keto was like a resurgence of Atkins in a sense. And it's like, yes, you're going to see short-term effects from it. Like we had Jillian Michaels on the podcast and she slammed the keto diet. And for good, like I'm the same. I'm like, people should not be on that long term.
Right.
But, and like, I've gotten questions. My second book was Meal Prep Your Way to Weight Loss. And they're like, well, how can you be talking about all this if it's, blah, blah. And I'm like, because at the end of the day, if you don't have some sort of goal with your body, then you're not growing. Right? It's the same as our mind. We don't go to kindergarten and say, okay, I've learned enough. I'm good for the rest of my life. Instead, it's with your body, you should always be challenging it, evolving, and doing the same diet consistently will not challenge you and grow. And your body goes through seasons. Right. The seasons outside affect what we need to eat, and it affects the way that you digest food. And in winter, we're more likely to put on a bit of weight because your body literally needs it. Right? Versus summer is like more energy and the foods are lighter. And so people have gotten so concerned with the keto diet because of the way that it affects the outside of the body. And like we were talking earlier, the body positivity movement, I'm like, there's no way we should be saying a 600-pound person on the cover of a magazine is healthy. Because if you eat the right foods and you exercise, and I'm not saying, crazy exercises, but if you do that, naturally your body gets thinner. And it's not about the weight loss, but if we stop focus, because in America, we are so focused on the outside and how it looks, we forget about the inside. Do you have energy? Do you go to sleep without issue? Do you sleep through the night? Do you need coffees or not? Because the ultimate thing is not needing a coffee when you wake up. And so how do you feel when you walk upstairs? Yeah. And so it's like all of these different things. People are like, I'm on the keto diet. I'm paleo. I'm vegan. And it's like, well, let's not go into the vegan thing, but outside of that, it's like, are you doing that because you want to look on a certain way, or are you doing it because you're trying to make things go so positive on the inside that they radiate on the outside? Mm-hmm. And that's where we've kind of lost that focus, or what I've seen. And I don't know. I get very frustrated with all of that because we've lost touch with our intuition of eating when you're hungry. Like, we're like, I need breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. And it's like, no, you don't. Really, no, you don't. They're like, well, I eat at 10 p.m. I can't seem to lose weight. Mm-hmm. Okay, then. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting really flustered with the industry purely because there's so much information that people are getting so confused. But then on the other side of it, going back to my book being called Meal Prep Your Way to Weight Loss, it's like, well, yeah, maybe you do need to lose a few pounds in order to feel vibrant and energetic. And maybe my diet plan will get you there, or maybe keto will get you there. But then the ultimate goal is find the balance where you can bring the thing back in that you used to binge on, or that got you to gain weight in the first place. Mm-hmm. And to not go back and be like, well, I'm off the keto diet today. Screw it. I'm eating all the things. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's finding that the balance, but it has to come from yourself. And that's why no diet fits all. But there are things we can follow, to cut out the bad foods and that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, what we always talk about in Next Health is customizing a diet plan for you. We use a lot of science and biomarkers and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's really 80% of what you're talking about is changing your kind of almost like your neuro-linguistic programming around what
Totally.
you're telling yourself about the foods that you're eating.
Totally.
Because if you're going to the supermarket and you think like getting a bag of Oreos is your, it's going to kill you and it's your indulgence, and you have this kind of programming around bad foods versus good foods,
Right.
you're really doing yourself an in-service is what you're saying.
Well, and that's like, I refuse to call it cheat meals, cheat days, because that's insinuating that those foods are bad and that other foods are better for you. And I've given the analogy before of, let's say you're on the quote unquote perfect diet where you eat all organic and all the right things and the vegetables and the spinach and this, that, the other, but you're very military on that. Versus someone who's having pasta and wine, and like the military person on that diet is like, yes, seeing some form of results, but maybe is not as happy or is a bit stressed, or, always has to meal prep their food so they can never go out, or they feel guilty when they go out and they can't have a margarita because it has too much sugar, versus the person who goes out and eats a salad for lunch, goes out to dinner with friends, has pasta, has wine, doesn't feel guilty. Who has a healthier diet?
Right.
What would you say?
I mean, obviously, when you're looking at the mental reaction and your emotional status, that second person is going to feel a lot better. Right.
And so you guys know this, when you feel better and you don't feel judgmental on yourself or guilty, food digests better. Right. And you're like, that's why my skin glows now is, yes, I eat good foods, but like I eat all the things, I drink all the things. And it really has to do with when we eat foods that are good for us, yes, they nourish us. But if you're at a stressed out state, right, your fight or flight system kicks on. And at that point, your body does not take those nutrients that the very thing you're eating that's good for you, your body is not absorbing. And like, you guys know this firsthand. And so it's, people have kind of missed that mark of, it's not just about the food. It's so important how happy you are, your stress levels, what are your thoughts about the food you're eating? Is it because you just like, I purely enjoy eating broccoli. I really just do.
Me too.
Right?
I love it.
Instead of it being like, I have to eat broccoli today.
That one thing that you just mentioned, that I love broccoli. Like, I go to every restaurant, I'll gladly replace the fries with broccoli because I love it.
Yeah.
And I have the same emotional reaction whether I'm eating fries or broccoli.
Right.
Right. So
and so you've had some sort of programming in there because you realize that the broccoli nourishes you, fulfills you, makes you feel better. At the end of the meal, you don't feel heavy and lethargic. And then that's okay to have. Like, I love pizza. I love pasta. I love going to Italy and eating all the things. But there's always everyone I talk to that goes to Europe, they say, my God, I never eat any of these things in America, but I went to Italy and France and I ate all the croissants and I lost weight. I don't get it. And it's like, because you weren't stressed about it.
Exactly.
That's why. And so that's where like everything with the disordered eating and where we are with all the dieting, and it really just has to do with getting clear on why you're doing stuff. Is it for a physical body reason? If so, great. Are you doing it based on like, I must eat this because spinach is healthy? Or are you doing it because, one other, whatever reason it is? So,
right. And it's so powerful when you can combine all that together because so many people do one or the other. Like you said, they're militant, but they're stressed out. I mean, when you can really be on that path, which clearly you're on, where you're eating food, healthy food, and you're stressed and you're happy and you're fulfilled in life. I mean, that's when everything starts ticking.
Totally. And like, I was just going to say on that really quick, like I'm at a place where people look at me and they're like, how are you always happy? You're traveling all the time. You're like, right. We were talking about this. Like I've been in LA in and out. I get on a plane tomorrow and my life is no less stressful than anyone else's. In fact, maybe all the travel makes it more stressful. And like, I'm flying constantly for meetings and this, and it's because of the way that I am now viewing things. And, if I have to eat plain food, like I don't like doing it, but sometimes there's really not other options. And sometimes I have wine and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to eat all the bags of chips that they offer me. And there's just no guilt about it. And so I get off a plane and I'm like, oh, I really want a salad now. Yeah. And so my stress is no less than anyone's, but it's
how you react to it.
It's how you react.
Choice. It's
yeah,
objective.
exactly. And so like, I'm just at a place where I just try to find bliss in everything and grace and ease. And the more that I do that, like there's still stressful times where I'm like, like yesterday I was at the Apple store for 2 hours. I was on the airline company call for 2.5 hours so it's soul crushing sometimes, but you're just like, okay, it is what it is. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no judgment. And the moment that we start judging ourselves, I shouldn't have done that. Ooh, that's the thing that leads us to trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a spiral.
Yeah.
That you don't want to go to. What do you think about that? So I have a friend who is like, wealthy guy. He's buying an apartment in like one of these big buildings here, and he's going to have it built out.
Yeah.
And he's not going to build a kitchen because he just feels like he doesn't cook anyway. He eats every meal out. And it's a waste of space.
Yeah. Well, when he meets a woman, she's going to say, we need a kitchen.
But this is like an example of a huge problem.
Right.
No one cooks their own meals anymore.
Right.
It's like really rare that people actually get grocery shopping.
And that being said, like places like Erewhon, I will say, have made it super easy. And like when I come here, I love it. I also do find though that we are losing touch of getting our hands dirty. We want things to do, or we want people to do everything for us, which is why we're always looking for the quick fix now too, right? Like people are more willing to come in and get Botox before they're willing to eat healthy for a few weeks to see what, like, I remember when I started eating healthy, really like changing my diet, my mom goes, did you get Botox, Nikki? I think I was 24 at the time. And I was like, no, but what? Botox? And she was like, your skin looks very different. I'm like, Popeye, it's the spinach. But it's that thing that people aren't willing to put the work in. And it's a reflection too in work. Like people want to get famous and Insta famous and overnight and start making money. And like, I am where I am because I work really hard and I've been doing it for really many years. And I've had to go through a lot of suffering to then learn and get to where I am now. So it's like, there's no quick fix, but everyone wants the quick fix,
right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's just, it's difficult to eat like Erewhon. I mean, Erewhon is great. It's so expensive.
Oh my God.
Literally one bag of groceries costs you like $200.
I was going to say 2,000. Yeah.
I mean, even if you have the money, it's frustrating to spend that much because it's, and there's very few places. I mean, Whole Foods is your best bet. That's more mainstream. But it's just, it is challenging because I feel that same way. Like I feel like I'm stuck in the middle personally.
Yeah.
I want to eat as healthy as possible. I want to cook my own meals, but I don't have time to do it. Yeah. And I will go through phases where I'm like, I'm on it 2 weeks in a row. I'll do my, grocery shopping and I'll do meal prep for a couple of days. I'll eat it. And then you just fall off the bandwagon. And when you're not on the bandwagon of doing that, it's very challenging, even here in LA, to, if you don't have meals prepped, to eat everything you need to eat at the times you need to do it when you're hungry conveniently. It's a real challenge.
And so what I say to that is the number one thing with health that I guide people on is to say you have to make it undisruptive to your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Because if it's disruptive, you won't keep it. It won't sustain. So for you, it's become disruptive.
Right.
Too disruptive where you stop it after 3-4 days. Mm-hmm. Whereas, so then I would say, well, choose one meal like breakfast and just commit to breakfast every day. Mm-hmm. That's it. Nothing more. Because when we start to build that habit of like, oh my God, I feel so good with my smoothie or my, avocado toast, which I love making, or my egg scramble, or like whatever it is. And you commit to one meal or even one snack a day that you meal prep. Mm-hmm. And so I have clients start really, really small and just say, you know what, at 3 p.m., like I was on a phone call with a client 2 days ago and she was like, yeah, at night I get home and I'm super hungry. So I'm like, okay, what are you eating? Da, da, da. And he said, make sure the only thing I want you to change with your diet is have an apple, a banana, a piece of fruit, whatever you want, some pineapple, get some almond butter. Or what she would say is like, I get a handful of cashews and I just eat the entire thing, like too many of them. Like, well, that's because it's not balanced. Your body is craving some sugar at that, especially 3 p.m. Have an apple, throw some cinnamon, blood, sugar stabilizer, have something crunchy, because at that 3 p.m. mark, for example, is where we start to get anxiety and stress. Mm-hmm. And also we need sugar. And so if you can hit both of those, like with a handful of almonds and an apple and like a green tea which is in the detox, that's where you just see, you'll make a healthier decision from that one thing. So I would just say to you, instead of this like disruptive 4 days, 5 days,
I'm kind of an all or nothing, but that's a great point. You're right, because that's what happens.
Exactly. And so just go grocery shopping for this snack, and little things that you can have where you're like, I know that if I don't have, like if I have some carrots and hummus with me and I can just put it in the fridge at work, perfect.
Right. Because the worst for me, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy
everything.
A pound, like a cart full of greens, and then 80% of it will go bad because I do it once and it's
What's your new favorite snack you just started buying?
Which snack?
Snack, the white vegetable that you cut
up. Jicama.
Oh, jicama's
amazing. With
jicama's amazing.
It is so good.
Yeah. I talk about it in my second book as well. Like you can do jicama, you can process it so it becomes rice for sushi, for example.
Really?
You can do a mandolin slicer and do it really thin and then use it and roll it into little mini tacos or little cigars with guacamole. And jicama is really good and it's super hydrating because it has so much water in it. Yeah. A lot of vitamin C as well. Yeah. It's a kind of a pain. If you can get it pre-cut, it's great. Right. I would say too, the thing is a lot of places we're blessed to be in LA. Obviously, anyone in a big city is super blessed. We have great restaurants, a lot of choices. You go outside of, main LA and it's hard to find a Whole Foods.
No.
So something like that would then be, okay, shop on the parameters of the store.
Right.
Go first and foremost, don't ever go when you're hungry. Stick to committing to one meal, one quote unquote healthy, let's just say one real food meal. I'm not a fan of bars. I think that they're a terrible thing, actually. It's better to get a handful of dates and some cashews, for example, where people are like, bars are so convenient. It's like, so are cashews and cashews and a banana. Right. And it's just, do you see how much goes back to this? Oh, it's not convenient. Yes. And then people say when they're traveling, it's too hard to eat healthy. I'm like, well, every single airport in at least in America sells bananas and raw almonds and water. Every single one of them.
Absolutely. You're
so
right. You just have to know what to look for.
Bananas and almonds.
Right. I've been eating my bananas green lately.
Ooh.
Do you do them?
I don't.
No? So from the Longevity Paradox.
Yeah.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I switched a lot of my fruit over to eating it more on the non-ripe side. And the first time I did it, I ate it too green. My face went half numb.
Yeah.
But then I found the right balance.
Yeah.
But I actually love it now.
Yeah.
Non-ripe. And I think it's actually more filling for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has less sugar in it because as the banana ripens, right, it gets more sugar. And the more sugar means that it's going to be digested quicker in your body. And so it's it's again, finding just those balances. The thing with all these books and everything is every year there's something new coming out, the longevity diet and there's this and that. And it's like, well, or if we just went back to before all these diets came out, when did you eat the fruit? You ate them when they fell off of the trees because that meant they were ripe.
Right.
And you ate them when they were in season because it was not there otherwise. And so if we go back to just that mentality, it's pretty simple. It's hard because you can get everything, but I get asked.
Right, these days, you don't even know what a season is.
No, people have no idea.
I don't know what banana season is. For me, it's 365 days a year.
Totally.
How would you know?
Winter.
Totally.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and you can get coconut water that I don't think is real coconut. There's just food is becoming less and less food.
Oh yeah.
Here. And so it's the food tied with the emotions that people aren't dealing with the emotions and they're just like, well, I'm just going to eat this and diet and as we're filming this or, recording, we're in full swing holiday season and I'm getting so many comments I can't wait to do your detox. I'm like, well, why don't you take one, do the breakfast every day?
Yeah.
Why do we need to wait to start? And why do we need to go into this whole big, January 1st, I'm doing the detox and it's like, or just start it now.
Right.
Right? Just do it now. I don't know. It's we're overcomplicating things that are really not complicated.
I think that's a key learning for sure. Absolutely. So when you say, this book, 5-Day Detox, kind of what is your definition of detox? Because I always get into a little bit of a argument about people with this. For me, your whole life is basically a detox if you're living it correctly. But you talk about that.
No, I mean, I love it. And it's true. And the comments I've gotten, right, is well, your organs are constantly detoxing themselves. We don't need detoxing. And I'm like, well, yes, but do you drink alcohol? Do you take Advil? Do you
Right.
live in a city that has cars?
Right.
Exactly.
Because if there is, you are getting smog and pollution. Do you constantly go out and sweat every day? Because if not, your body is not able to, get a lot of those out.
And all these toxins that weren't made from nature. Like our body was made from nature, able to process and detox nature.
Right.
But when you add on all these environmental factors created by humans and chemicals, it's like, well, that's unfair to say your body is going to know how to detox all of that.
Exactly. And I mean, even the word toxins for me it's just thrown like everyone's like the toxins. Oh, get rid of I'm going to go for a sweat lodge, the toxins. And I'm like, calm down, guys. It's okay. So the detoxing for me really simply means removing something that we know is not as good for us.
Exactly.
And putting something that is better for us. That's it. Right. And so like if you take away your cell phone and you go on a social media detox, which I did, and it was the best thing I've ever done. Well, you have to fill your time with something else. So I filled it with reading. I filled it with going to bed earlier. So a detox doesn't need to be like, oh, the toxins and come on, guys, really. It really is like, and my detox was, okay, we know, everyone knows, everyone agrees. Alcohol, not too great for you, but okay in moderation, sure. And there's still, the debates of like, is red wine good for you? I'm like, but we know if you drink every night, it's not very good for you. We know that soda's not very good for you. We know that sugar and too much caffeine, just consensus. It's like there's not one single person that can say consensus like too much sugar's good for you.
Right.
And so I wrote this program, and for 5 days, you do take all of those things out, but I replace them with incredibly nutrient-dense things that nourish you, combined in such a way that keeps you filled, keeps you nourished, keeps you happy, so you never get hangry on it. You're flooding your body with vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, all of these different things. And so as you do that, and you're like, people will go on it who have had 5 coffees a day and they really have a hard time. And I say, well, that's why you get green tea, because I didn't want to we know that a little bit of caffeine from green tea is very good for you. Sure. And then when people are doing it as well, I say, if you can't do the detox without having coffee, then still do the detox.
Yeah.
Because 90% is better than 0%. And even for myself, like I still sometimes drink coffee on it. And I'm like, I just really want a coffee right now. And I'll do it. But then there's kind of rules of like, don't go to get a latte. It's like, have a black coffee. But the whole goal of that detox, or any, is to A, find balance by the end of it. B, reset your palate, because when you're eating all these foods, you do reset your palate and you no longer have cravings because you're flooding your body with all of these things. And I would say as well, it teaches you the foods and like food combinations and how easy it is. Like you have one shopping list and you make all new meals every day from it. And they're so simple to make that you start to see like, oh, cooking's actually really easy. Oh, I really enjoyed this. And so for me, whenever I do the detox, I feel so amazing by the end of it that I'm like, I just don't want to go back to any other way. Nice. Like, why would I? I feel so good.
And how often do you do it?
I wish I did it more, honestly. Because I don't have a house right now, and I'm like a crazy. I have a storage unit in LA. I have my winter clothes in Paris. My suitcase is in London, and I'm living in Bali right now, and I'm in LA at the moment. Like
all great places.
How was your suitcase in London?
yeah. Well, because I was living there before I went to Bali. Like it's just all over the place, and. So because I don't have a kitchen, it's a little hard. When I'm more stable and, have a house, I like to do it at least once every 3 months. But my ideal would be if I could start each month with 5 days and do it to the best that I can in those 5 days, because sometimes it's hard to take 5 days away from life. And so I say, okay, then do it the best you can in those 5 days.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where a lot of this, just the frustration that people have is like, it's all or nothing. I'm going to do the detox or I'm not going to do it at all.
Right.
And I'm like, or you could do 3 days of it.
Yeah.
or you could just take the breakfast and lunch or the snacks, like incorporating one or two things. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. So speaking of books, I know you had mentioned briefly when we were talking that you're writing a book. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what's the subject matter? Because I'm excited to see what the next thing is you're talking about.
God, yeah. What's it? Oh my God. Do you guys see the moon?
It's beautiful.
Wow. Is it a full moon? I'm just like, it's big and bright and beautiful.
Wow.
Stunning.
I think tomorrow's the full moon.
Amazing. And so a side note for anyone listening, when it's a big moon like this, you should always take like things that are meaningful to you or that you need to clear energy and put them outside and let the moon clear the energy from them. So like you could put like, if you buy something secondhand, for example, you would leave it out in a full moon and it cleanses the energy. Does that apply to
people too? Can you just put
I'm like, you're just staying outside all night? Probably.
Bathe, cleanse yourself.
Sage you. So yeah, this new book is a divergence from all the health stuff I've been doing. Yes. It started when I moved to Paris last year. And I kept a journal on my computer, and I would write my experiences every day, and my thoughts, my feelings, what I did, what I learned. Just because I moved to Paris with no apartment. The day that my flight was, I didn't have a lease on anything yet, which was kind of scary. And everything worked out that I signed a lease on an apartment that I had never seen. It worked out great. And so in this past year, I wrote for 1 year. And in that year, I moved countries a few different times, had a breakup with a longtime boyfriend, had a breakup again, a very toxic relationship that nobody even knew about because we never publicly talked about it. So I talk about a lot of relationship stuff. I'm giving insight into the influencer world and what that is and what it really looks like. So the way that I'm kind of describing it is it's Eat, Pray, Love meets Eckhart Tolle. With a sprinkle of Sex in the City. Because I have a lot of crazy dating stories, and I am very connected to, source, spirit, whatever universe you want to call it. And anyone can get there. It's just when you get in tuned with your own intuition, you get messages in whatever form they come for you. Wow. And so I've had I had an ayahuasca-like experience with no drugs, no alcohol, no meditation. My brain was like, and poof, there we go.
Just spontaneous, or was it planned in some capacity?
Nope, it was just spontaneous. Which was really interesting. Yeah. Wow. And so because I'm a writer and I love writing, I went and next day wrote everything. The entire day, I just wrote down everything that happened. And so a lot of it is like the messages that Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle and all of these spiritual teachers guide us on. I've been given kind of firsthand. And so I'm trying to put it all together as like, what does health mean? What does happiness mean? And the big theme that came about from it was this year I started living my greatest fears, which was terrifying. And that's, in life, nobody wants to live in their fears because that's why they're fears. And what I learned from physically, emotionally living in those fears, it was almost like the universe was like, here are your greatest fears on a plate. If you want to move to the next level, you have to eat them. And I was like, shit. So
can you say what those fears are?
Yeah, sure. So one of them was fear of anxiety, of just living in a very anxious state. And anxiety just means that you're constantly focused on the future.
Right.
And that so anxiety and stress is a high achiever's word for fear, basically, right? Is like, we're stressed out. I'm stressed out. Well, no, really, you're just fearful. And so it was just living in constant anxiety that I'm not enough, that I'm not doing enough, that it won't work out, which then kept me from sleeping. The next one was fear of loss of money, which I experienced full-heartedly, where my bank account was like, cool, and we have nothing. And I was like, wow. And so to learn what it meant to not have an income that you wanted or that everyone else assumes you have is like the influencer and all of that. And that was like, I was spending my money on like Tony Robbins and really amazing things. But so there was that. And then the last one was fear of being a failure. And I think we all have those. Like, we don't want to quit our job because of the security. And so a lot of these ride around security for me. And so I lived all of those at the same time. And it was, how can you live in? And then I also had some very humbling moments of when I broke up with my ex. I went and stayed with a friend that I had met the week before on his sofa bed in London for about a month and a half because I didn't want to go get an apartment. I didn't know if I wanted to live in LA. I really needed love and support. And it was humbling, to say the least. Have my suitcases there, the sofa bed there, the kitchen was right there, like in this tiny little apartment. And it was humbling because I learned what my identity was made of and what people see and think. And I learned to ask for help from other people, and I learned to accept help. And so the big resounding thing was I started calling it the art of receiving. Because we're not very good at, we're really good at giving. Most people are pretty good at giving. We're pretty bad at receiving, whether it's advice, especially when you don't really want to hear it, or that you've done something wrong, or that there's something you need to change, or just, you know, like people, when I said that I was in this place where I'd broken up with my ex, people from across the world all came and said, I have a house, come stay with me. I'd love you to like do this. And it was astounding to see the love and support that came, because my whole life I did never think it was there. And so through all of this journey, it was, and I, you know, wrote about all of this. And through that, I was able to live my greatest fears, be humbled to a level I'd never experienced. And then really like Phoenix of the Rising, where I grew into this person that I'm like, wow, I love my life. I love my people, my tribe. They're all amazing. Everyone's supportive. I'm supportive of them. And like, I wouldn't go back and change any of it because it's just been transformational. It's made me change the way that I look at health and living and happiness. And like, I'm happy every day. And but that doesn't mean that I don't have bad things in my life. And so through all of that, that's what's written in the book.
Incredible.
Yeah.
When does it come out?
Well, not yet, because I have to find a new publisher.
Oh.
And actually, I had a meeting with a book agent today. So I'm sending her a bunch of the sample writing. And because now I have to go through the whole process of new proposal, new agent, new publisher. And then writing a book is a complete pain in the ass.
Is it completely done?
It's written, but the way that it's written as in like journal entries, but it's going to be changed into kind of like Eat, Pray, Love, the way that she wrote her story. But we're trying to find the angle just because there is so much spiritual experiences in there. And the goal for me with this book was I'm just the catalyst and the channel to help other people. Like the story is not about me. It's like, I can put anything on the table, but I believe, and my hope is that it will help other people to see, they're not alone, that, you know, everyone goes through these sort of things. It's okay to ask for help. And that like, if someone like me who people, you know, look up to as like very aspirational, it's like, well, this happened to me. And guess what? I came out on top. You can too. Here's how.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that message. And I really think that's one of the most powerful messages you can share with people, because we've all been through it. I mean, I've been through that many times in my life, and it's, you know, there's a freedom that comes over time, because the more you go through those experiences and you get that place that you think the next step could be off the cliff, and then, you didn't go off the cliff.
Right.
You get a little bit more confidence every single time. And then you're able to start living in a place of, I don't want to say fearless, but just willing to take more risks in life. And I just feel that that's when things really open up, and the possibilities are endless, and you can be so much more fulfilled in life when you're not constantly worried about what could go wrong.
Exactly. And like, you guys know this, opening Next Health, like the challenges and like as an entrepreneur myself, I'm like constantly every day, I'm like, Nikki, what are you doing? Go get a 9-to-5 job. There's security, there's money. Like, what are you doing? And then I just have to keep reminding myself, I love what I do. I'm passionate. The same as you guys. It's like you get to help people every single day.
Right.
And like that's why we do what we do. Not like the money comes when we focus on service.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to get over your fears.
We would have never opened Next Health if we listened to any of those fears. None of it made sense to begin with. You know, it was, honestly a total leap of faith. I mean, we didn't raise any money. We didn't have the total business model built out. It was an idea that we truly felt could benefit people. We're like, let's just try this.
Amazing.
Let's just see what happens. Let's see what the response is. And we took huge gambles in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
And we still are today.
And look at where you are now. Like, it's amazing.
Thank you.
I was there for the inauguration of the first one, and it's like, I remember that.
Did you come to the second one?
No,
The
at
Century
Century
City
City.
location?
I think it was, I think at that point I was just moving to Paris.
yes,
I think so,
yes.
because we did talk about doing having me come in to do
Yes.
the podcast and also a workshop or whatever.
Right.
And and I was just leaving. I think it was Paris.
The grand opening of the new West Hollywood, which is the second iteration of the first one, is going to happen probably in January.
Oh, amazing.
So hopefully you can come to that
Hopefully
one.
When in January?
We don't have the date totally set
We'll
yet.
plan it around you. Let us know when you'll be in
town.
town.
Let's do it.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll let you know my unknown travel plans. I mean, but it's even for that, like, one of the things that, like, talking about fear and letting go is I'm at a point now where, like, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally okay with that because I know that I'm being guided by something greater than me.
Right.
And I know that if I continue on the path that I'm doing, when things are flowing, right? When things are easy, it means you're on the right path.
Exactly.
When things are not, it means that you're not. And so anyone listening, and it's like, well, is your job crappy or like you're fighting with your partner? Well, there's something not flowing and it's your job, no one else's, to figure out what it is. And like within that, I just had back-to-back meetings where there's a possibility, and I'm flying out to Tahoe, right? Like that came about yesterday. So now I've changed all my plans that I might be coming back to LA for a few months in January. And I'm like, okay,
there you go.
Cool. What next? And not because there's not fear, like I'm still fearful, but it just means that I don't live in that state for long enough to allow it to affect me in any way other than, okay, I see that there's fear. I acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally normal. Yeah, might fail, might not. I might lose money, might make money. And I would say too, the other thing about this whole journey that I've been on is I really learned non-attachment to money. Whereas in the Western world, we're like, oh God, the car, the house, the this, the, and I'm like, well, my life is better now that I have this lack of attachment. I'm still there trying to pay bills and make money and invest and do all these things. But it's changed the way that I look at the physical thing of what money is, because money is just, it amplifies whoever you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
You make money, you can still be an a-hole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's
Makes
been
sense.
this fascinating journey of like what health is.
Yeah.
And so my definition of health has completely changed from what I started with, which is beautiful because it's an evolution and we grow. And like, I'm sure for you guys, like from when you started Next Health, like what you defined health at like Next Health to where you are today, it's probably totally different.
It continuously evolves for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the more we talk to people like yourself that, what I love about you is you're also fearless on your Instagram and you talk about all this stuff. And I like read your posts,
Yeah.
like, and you have all of these teachings in there that are beautiful. And, just from talking with people like yourself and reading those kind of things, I'm always redefining what health is. I come from the medical world where health is like, the absence of disease,
Right.
or like diagnosing disease. And it's really so much more than that. So
Yeah.
I love having people like yourself on the podcast where we can bring another aspect to what we talk about
Mm-hmm.
and what our teachings are and help spread the word. The things that
the good word.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's part of the ethos of Next Health. Like
Right.
it's in the name, Next Health.
Right.
It's going to keep evolving with what the next evolution is so that we can always bring people what is truly the latest and greatest. And as our learnings evolve in science and medicine and technology and spirituality, all of that, we want to be able to bring people the absolute best.
Right.
I feel like that's like mic drop podcast ended. Like that was such a good, just like boom. So what's next for you guys then?
A lot. So I mean, we have next year we're opening a couple more locations.
Wow.
We're opening a New York location in April, and then we're opening 2 more locations out here in LA.
Wow.
So we're going to be expanding the business. At this point, we've proven the model of Next Health. It's the business makes sense. There's enough people want this, they need it. The testimonials that we see in the lives that are changed every single day is so incredible. And that gives us all the motivation we need to continue this, right? We know that the world needs this and we want to disrupt healthcare. So we're going to expand on that front, but then there's also the services that are expanding. We have a lot of exciting things that are coming out. I mean, you could talk about peptides,
we're always
ozone,
staying on the forefront of everything coming out. You mentioned a couple of them: hyperbaric oxygen therapy,
Yeah.
ozone therapy. We have peptide therapy. These are all therapies that have been stuck in the disease care world for so long. And we're working with our scientific advisory council to bring them to people that are trying to optimize their health. So I think it's more than just the science around it. It's also like actually being able to put your hands on this stuff and actually get to it and use it.
Right.
And so we're constantly working on that front as well.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm such a big fan. I have been from day one. And I even remember like a year ago, I was like, okay, I want to bring this out to London. How can we talk about it? Like, because I was living there. I'm like, I need it. Because in London, they had, they have like cryo at Harvey Nicks and the IVs, but it was just so expensive. And I think what's really important too, and what you guys are doing, and as we learn more and more becomes available, is making these amazing things less accessible, less expensive. And like, that's the thing with Erewhon too. And, you know, some people listening are like, what the hell is Erewhon? And it's like, it's very inaccessible, right? Like Erewhon prices are exorbitant. Whole Foods prices are even to me exorbitant. And it's like, that is not accessible for a mother who works 3 jobs and is supporting kids. And it's like, she's trying to be the best she can for her kids. And I think that we're on a forefront of, there are some massive shifts that need to happen. And what I see, very much like what I was talking about with the food, is we have to start younger and younger and getting people, not just when they're 20, 30s. Like, we have to really start educating at a young age, because otherwise
we should be educating this kind of stuff in school.
Totally.
Like, it's crazy that this type of conversation is not curriculum.
I know.
Since day one. Why do we not? What else is more important?
The capitals of every state.
Yeah, who cares about capitals? I've never needed to say capital in my adult life ever. It blows my mind.
Capital of South Dakota.
Exactly. Versus the nutrient content.
Right.
You know? Like
versus like how to deal with bullies or like that. You know, it's like, what do you do when your parents are getting a divorce? Like,
there's so much more than
the only thing they taught us about food was the food pyramid.
Oh God, which has changed so much as well.
Which is horrible.
It's like one of forever.
Oh my God, it's awful. And like, one of my missions in life, well, I have a few, but one of them is to, at some point in my lifetime of my career, is to help set up meditation or some sort of mindfulness programs in schools, as well as, because it's like, pizza is cheaper than a salad. And then the salad they give you is like 3 pieces of iceberg lettuce with some like carrot strings. And you're like, terrible. Like, what is this? But also the big mission that I have is make health sexy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
Because if you can make health sexy, and that's why I show my body and I post like naked yoga stuff, but it's all elegantly done, right? And none of it is like, I'm never showing anything that's like, you know, but I do that because I want people to see that the more masks I take off, such as the clothes that you wear or the makeup, and like living in Paris for me taught me what beauty is without makeup, without anything, without doing my hair. And so the more masks we can take off, the more we start to realize who we are as people. And once you get comfortable with yourself, it's like anything is possible. But we have to do that by making health sexy. And again, what does health mean? Well, it's this all-encompassing happiness, food, the program that I teach is a 4-pillar, where it's connection to self, food and fitness, relationship to others, and your purpose. Because when you do all of those and you tackle all of them, you create a happy, fulfilled life. And then when you're in that state, anything is possible.
Right.
That's where the magic happens. Not like, I'm going on the keto diet tomorrow.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, how can we tell people to find you? Where can people find you?
I mean, all over the internet. Anywhere. My name, Nikki Sharp. It's Instagram, my website. You can email me, Nikki Sharp. Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's pretty. I've kind of like mastered that domain, except Facebook and Twitter are a little complicated, so we'll just say Nikki Sharp. And like, anyone listening, if you guys have questions, please reach out to me. And I love connecting with people and answering and, you know, guiding and all of that.
And definitely pick up the book, the 5 Day Detox.
Yeah, especially for like the holidays and January, and we're going in a new decade, you guys.
I know.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
2020, but it's just another year. It's another day. It's like really not that big of a difference. People are like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, It's okay. Yeah.
I know. Well,
But
thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
And I can't wait to have you on again. I can't wait till the next time you're back in town so we can get you at the location.
Yes.
For sure.
I love it. Thank you. And I appreciate
Thank
you
you.
giving me the space to share some thoughts.
Absolutely. We're excited about the new book.
Thank you.
Thanks.